It's time for Spiritual Awakening Radio. On today's program, the life, teachings, and mystic poetry of Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar, the reincarnation of Kabir. In the English language, there is one book featuring the teachings of Sant Dariya Sahib, one of my all-time favorite classic saints of India. A book published by the RS Book Department, Science of the Soul. Not long ago, I noticed that someone has uploaded that book to the archive.org, the site of the Internet Archive, which is a wonderful development. Sant Dariya's mystical Sant-mat poetry is quite beautiful. He is in the tradition of the lover and the beloved. Sant Dariya Sahib's poetry is very much influenced by Sant Dharam Das and the Anurag Sagar, the Dharamdasi Kabir line of Sant Sat Gurus, what Professor Mark Juergensmeyer calls esoteric Santism, a poetry that has a greater degree of esoteric teachings about the ascension of the soul through the inner planes or inner regions. Some selections from the mystic poetry of Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar. Love brings about such a serenity that one discards all shyness of clan and community. If one enters the path of love, then one does not care who says what. When one knowingly steps onto the path of love, he cannot then deviate from it. He is impervious to all worldly shame, abusive remarks of clansmen, as well as all slanderous publicity of the world. Breaking the tie of caste, such a devotee reaches his true home. Having seen and realized the true Naam, the Sat Naam, he knows within himself what true love is. This one is called The Musk is Within the Deer. The musk is within the deer, but he searches for it outside in the grass, instead of searching within himself. He runs back and forth, wondering where the fragrance comes from. The fragrance is nearby, but he knows it not. Caught by delusion, he roams about. So do all people wander in pilgrimages and outer observances. If you wish to obtain your true home, then find it by looking within yourself and dwell therein. The true Lord resides within this body. Recognize him through the manifestation of true love. By churning this body and by entering within yourself, see the manifestation of true wisdom. Who can describe the source of the universe, containing this world, the underworld, and clusters of galaxies, manifested in higher regions? The one whose luster is like a luminous gem, illumines the cosmos. Which poet can comprehend and follow the pattern of his manifestations? It is the merciful Lord who bestowed his grace on me, and I could see the glory of his entire manifestations. The play of love of the limitless primal being I did see in entirety. This is an incredible and unfathomable divine wonder. How can any poet give it description? have nothing to worry about. Be free from worries and remain immersed in love for the beloved. He shall take you across the ocean of the world. If you seek support of his boat sailing in this ocean, no amulet, charm, yogic practice, or other holy repetition is of any avail. Only he provides the technique which destroys sins and removes vices from the heart. By seeing and reflecting within your heart, says Darya, you will be freed from all ills. Just by kindling the wick of Naam with the sought Guru's lamp. Without love, there can be no devotion and wisdom, says Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar. This is from a collection of verses I call the Love Chapter of Sant Dariya Sahib. Without love, there can be no devotion and wisdom. With love arisen, they can be experienced with the sought Guru's grace. With intensification of love, one comes in contact with the true sound, and like a lotus in water, abides in its peace and bliss. When love and endearment are firmly ingrained, one attains the elixir of Naam and enjoys its bliss. Being firmly entrenched in love and endearment, and being well steeped in devotion, one obtains true love. Have love for the lotus feet of the sought Guru, O wise one. This life is short. Give up needlessly extended discussions. With love and wisdom arisen, one moves with detachment in the world. He who finds a sought Guru has the true recognition of the path, says Darya. So long as the lover is not immersed in love, his sins and evil thoughts are not washed away. If one's attention is not absorbed in the inner sky, how can he see the wondrous inner lights? So long as the intense longing for the beloved does not arise, and the heart is not filled with love, the spiritual goal cannot be attained by mere observance of religious practices, vows, and rituals. Whatever be the bulk of one's charity and virtuous deeds, one can find no foothold anywhere without devotion, without bhakti. Have firm faith in love and devotion. Love is the essence of spiritual truth. Reflect on this saying of the saints. By this alone one is saved from the ocean of the world. Without love one goes to the abode of Yama, the god of death. But being endowed with love, one attains immortal fruit. Blessed is the eye which is permeated with love. Without love, it is like a pebble or stone. Like a gardener without a garden, the eye remains empty without love. What is the state of a human being without love? He is like one who is denied all delicacies, and whose mouth is filled only with dust. Without love, one does not find the flow of the sound current. But when the flower of love blossoms, its fragrance is praised by all. Many are the paths prevalent in this world. Knowing the proper wisdom, work out your own salvation. He who obtains a wise and discriminating saint recognizes the path to liberation. The technique of love is truly the root of all spirituality. Follow this technique as imparted by the Master. When with his grace the inner lamp is lighted, the true Naam, the Sat Nam, the support of all, comes to sight. Just as the lotus resides in water, it does not come to bloom by water. Only when the light of the sun appears does the lotus open its petals, as the contemplative inner eye opens to see. The spiritual lotus likewise resides in the human body, which is like a pond. Its sustaining water is close to the lotus, but only when love for the Satguru arises does the inner lotus bloom, and one becomes a devotee of the Lord's holy feet. Without love, there is no spiritual path. The path lives in love. With intensification of love, one comes in contact with the true sound, and like a lotus in water, abides in its peace and bliss. When love and endearment are firmly ingrained, one attains the elixir of Naam and enjoys its bliss. Being firmly entrenched in love and endearment, and being well steeped in devotion, one obtains true love. Without love, one does not find the flow of the sound current. But when the flower of love blossoms, its fragrance is praised by all. Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar, a towering figure in Sant Mat history, and another reincarnation of Guru Kabir in this Kali Yuga age. Now for some rare quotes from Sat Sahib, the spiritual master of Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar. These are some of the very few verses of Sat Sahib that have ever been translated into the English language. The only thing we've heard from him up to now. A very rare saint from long ago. The Guru of 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 the Guru. Long ago. Sat Sahib. The ultimate realm is Aka, or unspeakable, which is fully contained within the inner mirror. The Aka is the source of true Naam, the sound current. This Naam is the truest spiritual technique, says Sat Sahib, the spiritual master of Darya Sahib of Behar. The term Aka has been used by Kabir also as another term for the ultimate abode of Anami Parush, the Supreme Being. Based on the Dharmdasi Anurag Sagar type terminology of Sat Sahib and his successor Darya Sahib, Sat Sahib most likely would have been a disciple of Sant Dharamdas or his son Charumani Naam, or perhaps Charumani Naam's successor, we don't quite know. But in other words, one of the gurus in the Kabir Sant Dharamdas line of masters. Very early on, because the Sant Dariya Sahib Panth is actually very old also. So Sat Sahib was a disciple of one of those teachers long ago. You have been given the seal to imprint the souls, and you know that the transaction is carried on through the true name, or Sat Naam. This is Sant Sahib speaking to Darya Sahib. Master is speaking to disciple. Whoever comes bearing the imprint of your hand, I will take him to the other shore. So he is saying here that those who are initiated by Darya Sahib will be escorted into the beyond by his spiritual master. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes people who are initiated by a certain master will see visions of that master's master, and sometimes the master before him. So that is something people are reporting even now as a very real thing experienced in meditation. Sant Sahib said, "Priceless indeed is my name. Let one hold fast to it with proper concentration. Near such a person, Kal Narinjan, the Lord of time, death, and illusion, shall not go. While rising or sitting, let him fix his attention on it, and let him develop love for the divine light within. Let him abandon all deceptive worship of gods and the goddesses. Let him be absorbed in his real Lord, realizing him to be the truth. While rising and sitting, the Supreme Lord should be the center of his attention, and let him remain merged into the sound current. By taking refuge under the truth in such a way, he will certainly overcome Kal," said Sant Sahib, the spiritual master of Darya Sahib of Behar. Speaking to Darya Sahib about his future mission as a Sant Sat Guru. The teachings of Sant Sahib and Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar are very close to the school of Sant Mat associated with Sant Dharamdas, the Kabir line of masters. Examples of that literature would include the Anurag Sagar and other books of the Dharamdas Kabir Panth. The Anurag Sagar has been published in the English language by Sant Bani Press of New Hampshire. The book Darya Sahib, Saint of Bihar is published by Science of the Soul, the Radhasoami book department. And there is a single website. I mentioned there is one book, the Radhasoami book, featuring a translation of the poetry of Darya Sahib in English. There is one website also, Saundarya.org, one website in English, specifically, Saundarya.org. Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar was a towering figure in Sant Mat history, a very powerful spiritual master. Sant Dariya Sahib was born in India at a time when the power of the Muslim Mongols was declining, and the British had not yet fully asserted their power over the region. It was an era of many petty rulers and warlords and general social turmoil and religious strife. Sant Dariya emerged as a poet-saint who encouraged harmony between Hindus and Muslims. Today he is revered by Sikhs as well as Hindus and Muslims. Of course, he's quoted in satsangs of Sant Mat around the world, including here now, today. He received enlightenment at the age of 20. He began to teach a path of non-violence and love for all. As a poet, Sant Dariya composed more than 15,000 verses. There are around 23 books in all of Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar. Most of that material remains behind the veil of Hindi, but the English book, Darya Sahib, Saint of Bihar, makes use of material from that whole body of literature, the Darya Sagar and other writings of Darya Sahib. So that is a good book. And from my discussion with Domain Singh behind the Sant Dariya Mission website, the Sant Dariya group, the Sant Dariya Panth, really likes that Radhasoami book. They highly approve of it as an accurate translation and a very wonderful book. They even recommend it on their website. You're hearing Spiritual Awakening Radio. After the break, a little bit of background and history about Sant Dariya Sahib, and we'll work our way towards another spiritual discourse focused on Simran, the repetition of names of God, as a way to make your life spiritual, to become spiritually centered, to practice remembrance in a world of forgetfulness, to practice spiritual awakening in a world of slumber. Simran is a very central practice of the Sant tradition, and Sant Dariya Sahib has much to say about the repetition of names of God as a central spiritual practice. Simran, the repetition of God's name or names. You're hearing Spiritual Awakening Radio. Stay tuned for more after this break. Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar, a towering figure in Sant Mat history and another reincarnation of Guru Kabir in this Kali Yuga age. My focus today on Spiritual Awakening Radio. Some history, background, as I was starting to get into. Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar was born in India at a time when the power of the Muslim Mughals was declining and the British had not yet fully asserted their power over the region. It was an era of many petty rulers and warlords and general social turmoil and religious strife. Sant Dariya emerged as a poet-saint who encouraged harmony between Hindus and Muslims. Today he is revered by Sikhs as well as Hindus and Muslims, quoted in satsangs affiliated with Sant Mat around the world. He received his initiation from his spiritual master Sat Sahib at the age of 20 and began to teach a path of non-violence and love for all. As a poet, Sant Dariya composed more than 15,000 verses. Sant Dariya was born in 1674 in the Rohtas district of Behar, India. He was brought up and remained at that place for most of his life. Darya was apparently given his name by the family guru, Sat Sahib. Darya's birth was celebrated with great festivity. After the baby was 1 month old, a holy man visited his family home, and the mother brought the infant before him. This holy man carefully looked at the infant from head to foot, asked the mother to take very good care of him, and named him Darya, to be so recognized later. Darya never looked upon this guru as a human being, but always referred to him as the Lord or Sat Purush. Sant Dariya got enlightenment at the age of 20. He was initiated into inner light and sound meditation, Shabd Naam, by the same Sat Guru mentioned before, Sat Sahib, that had been a major influence in Darya's life and that of his family. Sat Sahib or Sat Sahib, Darya's spiritual master, must have been associated with the Sant Dharamdas Kabir line of masters. As Darya's writings reveal, he was greatly influenced by the teachings of Kabir, Sant Dharamdas, and his teachings are permeated with the teachings of the Dharamdasi books like Anurag Sagar. And according to those affiliated with the Sant Dariya branch of Sant Mat, Darya Sahib of Behar is believed to have been an actual reincarnation of Guru Kabir. Quote, in one of his books, Darya claimed himself to be Saint Kabir in his previous birth. Says Dr. Dharmendra Brahmachari Shastra, who published a research paper on the saint for his Doctor of Philosophy thesis called Sant Dariya Kabir of Behar. Certainly many believe the great Saint Dariya Sahib was the reincarnation of Kabir. In any case, it can be said, it can be observed that the teachings of Sant Dariya Sahib and his Satguru successors do indeed represent a continued living mystic expression of this path of Guru Kabir in the current Kali Yuga age. Certainly Darya rebooted the teachings of Kabir at a time of need and was a very influential spiritual master. And eventually, as a result of Sant Dariya Sahib, Tulsi Sahib of Hathras became Satguru, and Tulsi Sahib's famous disciple Seth Shiv Dayal Singh founded the Radhasoami movement. So we have a lot of influence molding and shaping the path of the masters during this Kali Yuga going on here as part of the legacy of Darya Sahib of Behar. I see, as I've mentioned on past editions of Spiritual Awakening Radio, about the origins of Sant Mat, I see the lineage of the masters as being something like this. Kabir to Dharamdas to Charamani Naam to Sat Sahib to Darya Sahib of Behar to Tulsi Sahib of Hathras, and then it branches out from there, of course. Those who are Radhasoami, of course, focus on Seth Shiv Dayal Singh or Swamiji Maharaj and so on. Tulsi Sahib had other guru successors also. And we get Baba Devi Sahib and Maharishi Mehi, and in Hathras there's still an ashram to this day, and a guru, and also in Lucknow there's a guru and an ashram and a few other ashrams, and teachings of Tulsi Sahib branching out in different directions in India. And of course the Radhasoami movement sprang from the teachings of Tulsi Sahib and Maharaj Gudhari Sahib. Sant Dariya Sahib, the Darya Panth in general, the Sangat or satsang of Darya Sahib lives on to this day. They have gurus and ashrams. I, however, don't know much about what goes on there. Do they still experience the inner light and sound? I do not know. I have no clue about that. But they still exist. There are a couple of websites, one in English, and there's one in Hindi. And I've seen some photos. I've had discussions with, as I mentioned earlier, Domain Singh, the web administrator for the Sant Dariya Mission website. And so they practice meditation, and they're still out there. They still exist. And publish all of those wonderful books of Sant Dariya in Hindi. They definitely are related to the Kabir Panth. That's always been my impression. Sant Dariya's writings and hymns reveal he was influenced by the Anurag Sagar and generally the teachings of the Dharamdas Kabir line of masters. After the break, a little bit more history, and then we'll shift gears and get back to spiritual teachings, including a spiritual discourse on Simran, the repetition of names of God as a key spiritual exercise in this Kali Yuga age in order to focus on the Supreme Being and begin the process of returning back to the spiritual realm. You're hearing Spiritual Awakening Radio on healthylife.net, the Positive Talk Radio Network. Stay tuned for more after this break. Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar has the distinction of being the only living or recently departed Sant Mat master contemporary with Tulsi Sahib of Hathras that Tulsi Sahib actually mentioned in his writings and hymns. My view has been that Sant Tulsi Sahib of Hathras likely was initiated by Darya Sahib or one of Darya's spiritual successors. In his book Gat Ramayan, the only living or recent master that Tulsi Sahib mentions is Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar. Tulsi described Darya as being one of the greatest saints in the history of India, of equal stature to Kabir, Guru Nanak, and Dadu Dayal. For more, see my article, Who Was Tulsi Sahib's Guru? Our one and only real clue. I can send you a link to that. Listen for my email address. I'll be happy to send that to you if you'd like to look into that, examine that question, that connection between Tulsi Sahib and his initiating master. I do believe Tulsi actually did mention the name of his guru in his writings. Swamiji's list of India's greatest saints included the name of one fairly unknown guru at the time, a contemporary master by the name of Tulsi Sahib, and we know just how significant a reference that turned out to be, since Tulsi Sahib was the initiating guru of Swamiji Maharaj. The same with Tulsi. His list of all-time great sants also included one relatively obscure contemporary name, Darya Sahib of Behar. Masters such as Darya Sahib and Tulsi Sahib represented, during their day, mystical, hardcore, reformist voices, somewhat critical of the overall direction of the older Sant Panths in India, what direction they were headed in. Sant Dariya Kabir, Adi Guru, who helped preserve Surat Shabd Yoga during this part of Kali Yuga. The living line of masters continues right up to the living present in the 21st century. Sant Darya, in one of his verses of poetry, said, Sat Parush is the living Lord, and his own son serves as the ladder. That ladder is continued through me, says Darya. Fakar Das, Basti Das, and Guna Das are the ladders proceeding from me. Those were his appointed spiritual successors. Whomsoever they appoint as their successors would also be known as ladders. Thus will my line of succession continue, said Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar. Simran practice. The word Simran means the repetition of a name or names of God as a way to focus and begin the spiritual journey back to God again. Domain Singh, administrator of the Sant Dariya Mission website, said, those who develop interest in Simran are really fortunate and are making a good use of their human birth. Now for some mystic verses of Sant Dariya. Here is a discourse by Domain Singh of the Sant Dariya Mission website on the practice of Simran, or Manas Jap, the repeating of God's name or other holy, sacred names with love and devotion as a bhakti practice, a practice of practicing the presence of God in a loving sort of way, remembering God, done during available moments throughout the day and night, as well as during meditation practice. Mystic verses of Sant Dariya Sahib. Let the practitioner be brave like a lion, and let him not forget the holy repetition, even for a moment. Let him be alert with his drawn-out bow and arrow. The thief Kal Narinjan can never come near such a one. Kal Narinjan is a reference to the Lord of Time, death and illusion, a kind of false god or demiurge in charge of this matrix of illusion, or samsara, the lower planes of illusion. So here Simran is described, this holy repetition of God's name is described as one's spiritual protection, defense in this realm of creation. Keep on repeating the holy names with tenacity and remove the impurities of the mind by this repetition, says Sant Dariya. With impurities removed, one becomes pure and wisdom dawns upon such a one in full. Practice the repetition of the true names, which alone is of value. Abandon the taste for a worldly enjoyment and attain thereby inner bliss. Have kindness in your heart. Look with compassion. Give up all family rights and worldly concerns. Being detached, brush aside all worldly delusions. Brush aside all worldly delusions and take refuge under the Satguru's holy feet, which is the kingdom of eternal bliss. Disregarding sufferings and afflictions, cut off worldly snares and be firmly absorbed in contemplation, which alone is of value. Thereby the inner lotus will blossom, nectar will flow, and the inner sky will resound with the divine melody, hearing which Kal Narinjan will flee away. The negative power will flee away. So here too, another teaching of the saints of India, hearing the inner sound current during meditation is also a form of protection, is a form of self-defense or shielding, if you will, in this realm of illusion. If you're permeated by negative energy, you have to change that if you're going to make spiritual progress. And it's kind of a catch-22 situation. Okay, you're in a world of illusion, negative power, dominated by the demiurge or Kal Narinjan. So it's a chicken or the egg, how sort of thing in a vegan sort of way. How do you break free of that? There has to be a positive power that you invoke by the repetition of God's name and to focus on the divine sound in order to change that energy and give you an ability, a capacity to make spiritual progress under these circumstances of Maya, illusion, and samsara in the world of Kal Narinjan. Some positive power, an oasis of positivity in a desert of the illusion and negativity. That's a way to break free from that negativity. You're hearing Spiritual Awakening. We'll continue exploring this discourse on Simran and spiritual practice. Stay tuned for more coming up. Today on Spiritual Awakening Radio, the focus is upon the teachings of Sant Dariya Sahib of Behar district, India. The following mystic verse is about Simran practice, the repetition of names of God as a way to focus on God, to remember God. In the dark void of meditation with eyes closed, or as we walk down life's road in this world, how the repetition of names of God leads to a higher level of name, a higher kind of name, beyond all earthly languages, the sound current, the divine music playing in the worlds beyond. Sant Dariya Sahib said, "Carry on the repetition of the true names. Let it become your very life breath. Obtain thereby the true sound and go across the ocean of this world When a disciple receives the holy names from the Master, the disciple is sure to attain the unchangeable, eternal, and immortal abode. The soul attains union with the Creator and never again comes to this world. That abode is different from the three worlds. There resides the primeval Lord, along with a multitude of pure souls. Just a brief comment. Sant believes in reincarnation, but the goal is to stop doing it, to get off the wheel of life and death, of reincarnation and transmigration, and ascend back home again to Satlok, the true eternal realm, and never have to die again. Sant Dariya Sahib, the disciple who takes the Master's word to heart, is destined to go to the true abode. Having obtained the authentic passport of Naam, he goes to the hidden realm and never comes back here again. Light and sound arise from the primal Shabda. Let one make one's attention one-pointed, and let the Surat soul catch the sound current with rapt attention. This is the only way to rise to the primal Shabda. One should fix one's attention at that point where the sun and the moon meet at the eye center, the third eye. One will find a resounding melody emanating from the primal Shabd. One should merge oneself into that melody. There the 1,000-petaled lotus blossoms. When one becomes a devotee of the Satguru, then alone love and devotion are manifested through his service. The further journey is extremely subtle. It can be crossed only by merging the surat, the attention faculty of the soul, into the sound current. Experiencing the refulgent light and the incomparable sound of the higher regions, one is filled with bliss. Reaching Agamloka, the inaccessible region, one finds an exceedingly dazzling light. It is hard for the mind to stand that light. Stepping on the ladder of the Satguru, one tastes there the fruit of immortality. When one sees with one's inner wisdom eye, an eternal light comes to sight. One is absorbed in the unstruck divine melody, and the Supreme Lord is seen in the refulgence of light. The unstruck divine music is played every moment, and seeing the divine form, the soul is absorbed within. Only he who finds a wise Satguru can attain the true abode of Satnam. A discourse on Simran for God realization, the repetition of sacred names of God for the purpose of remembering God. An article by Domain Singh of the Sant Dariya Mission website. There are many kinds of sadhana, or spiritual practices, to realize God. The question is, which is the simplest and most suitable for the average person? Many have realized God by repeating the name of the Lord. The Master gives the name at the time of initiation. The name of the Supreme Being has the capacity to realize or reveal God. As the practice progresses, the mind becomes more and more subtle. Ultimately, the mind ceases and merges into the transcendental. In this method of meditation, one sits down, closes the eyes, maintains an easy and comfortable posture, and without moving the lips or tongue, repeats the name given by the Master. As the process progresses, the breathing becomes calm and even. One's mind becomes quiescent. When the mind becomes quiescent, God speaks. If we listen to the inner voice, we find solutions to all of our problems and frustrations. By constant repetition of the name, one can conquer lust and passion. To face the ups and downs, which is natural in human life, there is no better remedy than ceaseless remembrance of God through the repetition of His name, or Simran. Saints of the Nirguna school of spirituality, devotees or bhaktas of the formless God, right from the time of Kabir have praised the power of Simran. Gandhiji was also a great proponent of Naam Bhakti. Sant Dariya has described the importance of Naam Bhakti, saying that the importance of Naam has been recognized for eons. Saints have praised its glory. To sail through the ocean of life, which is so difficult, one needs a boat of Simran to cross the ocean of samsara, this world of changes. Name, or Naam, is a great medicine to cure all kinds of ills in this samsara, world of changes. Simran of the holy name subdues the mind and leads to concentration. The mind at ease and peace cures many physical and mental diseases, and it even improves the immune system. To sum up, the benefits of Simran are immense for this life and the life beyond. Those who develop interest in Simran are really fortunate and are making good use of their human birth, says Domain Singh of the Sant Dariya mission website, santdarya.org. Theholysound.org is my mirror website too. I made a copy of his website because I greatly value it and don't want it to disappear. I want to keep a copy of it around for just to back it up. My name is James Bean. You've been listening to Spiritual Awakening Radio. To receive a link to the book, the one and only book in English featuring the teachings and poetry of Sant Dariya Sahib, send me an email at this address, james@spiritualawakeningradio.com, james@spiritualawakeningradio.com, or send me a text message at this number, 508-603-9381. Visit my website, spiritualawakeningradio.com. There's a donate button there. There are links to my blogs and my mailing list at Yahoo Groups, daily spiritual quotes at Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and other sites. spiritualawakeningradio.com. Says Darya Sahib of Behar, only that soul is endowed with divine excellence who obeys the instructions of the Master, says Daria. Taking hold of the sword of the sound current, such a one crosses the ocean of this world.